Welcome back to Quarantine History with Mr. Skaggs. In case you're new to the channel, what we're doing, we are in Tennessee. Well, I'm in Tennessee, I guess. And we are currently not in school due to spring break and an extended COVID-19 quarantine time, not in school right now. And as a 7th grade history teacher, I wanted to take this opportunity to make sure my students were still keeping up on their information, their standards, what they needed, moving into the end of the year, testing if that happens, just to make sure that we're still kind of on the same page and not just staring at your phone all day for no reason. This is a good reason to look at your phone. So today the standard that we're looking at is standard 730 in our Tennessee State Standards. If you have not downloaded this app, please do so. It's linked down in the description. And the standard for today is standard 730. It says to describe the development of feudalism and manorialism, their role in the medieval European economy, and the way in which they were influenced by physical geography. So around the 9th century, this is where we're looking about this time period in Europe. Charlemagne has just died. He was the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, and after his death, the Holy Roman Empire lost a good deal of its control and power. And so a lot of the responsibility for protection and rule fell upon local kings, local monarchs, because the Holy Roman Empire had kind of just controlled a big, large area of Europe before this time, and they didn't have to do very much. They relied on Charlemagne to take care of a lot of it. But after he died, they kind of had to get off their butt and do something. And what they found out very quickly is that the local kings and monarchs didn't do a very good job of stuff. So a lot of the work and control of the government and protection of the people, the kings couldn't do. The monarchs couldn't really do. And so what they began to do, they began to utilize a system of governance known as feudalism. This was a French franc system that Charlemagne helped spread throughout Europe during his rule, and it really took root and took off after his death when the system was proven to work. And so what feudalism was, it was a political system where land was exchanged for goods and services. That's the exact definition in your composition book. If you want to go get it, you can go get and look at it. So feudalism is going to be a system how they're going to organize their government, they're going to organize their society. And it actually looks like, if you give me a second to pull it up, within feudalism, it actually looks like a social pyramid as well. It's the way it's structured. We spent a good amount of time looking at different civilizations and how their societies were governed, how they were established, and almost a lot of times it turned into sort of a pyramid situation. And I've got one of those right here for you guys. That's going to visualize kind of what feudalism looked like if I knew which way to turn this. So, within feudalism, up at the very top, you have the king. And how this is going to work. The goods and services are going to be passed down from each level. And so up top, you got the king. The king will then, because he couldn't really govern everything himself and protect it, he gave land and responsibility to the nobles, the lesser royalty below him. And in return, you see on this other side, the nobles and royals would give back protection and money to the king. So the nobles had this land that they were to work and to take care of, but they're still nobles. They don't really know how to do very much. And so, in order to kind of help themselves along and make their lives easier, they then gave other land, known as a fief, to the knights. This would be the military, even lesser nobles as well. And those would be called lords as well, or vassals. And so the vassals, the knights, would own the land, and they could protect, they could rule, they could govern, but they weren't that good at farming. And so in order to help them, they enlisted the labor of peasants. And the peasants were exactly what we think of them to be today. They're the lesser workers that help kind of drive the rest of society around. And the peasants would then, because they would then work the land that was owned by the nobles and the knights or the vassals, they worked that land. And since they were able to work that land, they got protection from the knights, which then got supplies and land from the nobles, which then got more land from the king. And so you see the system goes down this way, which you get, and then you got to go back up this other direction right here. Oh, not enough. So, as you see, the peasants would then, for the use of the vassal, the knight's land, they then would give back a food or service, whether it was a trade that they knew how to do, and they would then get money from that as well. And so the knights would then give protection to the nobles in return for the land that they got, also some money as well. And then on top of that, the nobles would then give back money to the king. So you see it moving in this, feudalism moves in kind of this triangular, almost circular pattern of land. Once again, land's the first thing. Land given back in return for a good, a service, or money stuff. So that was the structure of feudalism, how people related to each other. And what this also brought about was a type of economics, a type of economy known as manorialism. And so manorialism is based off the manor. And the manor is what the noble or the knight would be in charge of. This land, this area that they controlled. And what manorialism is, like I said, it's an economic system, and it's based around the manor, owned, operated by a lord, a vassal, a noble, and worked on by peasants. And as they were built together, the manors, sorry, mine went blank there. So as these manors were built together, they were very strategic in how they were put together because they needed to function as their own sort of self-supporting community, their own self-support city. And so geographically speaking, they were built usually near a water source, like a river, a pond, somewhere they could get water. Also, they were usually built near a trade route, because if they were to be making things, if the peasants were going to be producing things for the knights to give back and sell, they had to have somebody to get rid of it and sell it. And also, it was built strategically so that the manor itself, more of kind of the castle you would think, would be in a position to where it was up high, and so people could protect themselves. Let me throw a picture of that real quick. Boom, right here. Here is, boom. Here's kind of an example of what a manor would look like. See, there's a water source, there's a road, there is a manor castle up at the very top. Along you see churches, farmland, etc., etc. And what these things ended up being, as I said, their own kind of self-support community, and they would grow into towns. And so the economies within France and Europe, would transfer into having kind of one big large empire ruling it all into sort of these smaller independent manors, which is what drove a lot of the economy, a lot of the trade, is going from community to community, from manor to manor, people spending money. And this actually was a very sustainable method for hundreds of years within Europe, before the rise of more established states that we would recognize now. But this was a very effective way of life, both political and economic, with feudalism being the political component and manorialism being the economic component of those two things. So real quickly, that's standard 730. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe right down below. I'm going to be posting 3 videos a week, so please keep yourself highlighted on that. Go ahead and hit the bell icon so you know when that is going to come up. Also, please comment down below any topics you'd like to talk about. Any of my students watching out there, go ahead and comment with a hi. I like it when people say hi. And until next time, don't stop learning.